I'm Ann Taylor Pittman, Executive Editor at Cooking Light. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I have a really fun, very easy weeknight dinner to share with you. It's whole grain veggie burrito bowls. And I have to tell you, at my house, I have some version of this just about once a week because it's so easy to throw together. The family loves it, the kids, they love it. It's just so easy. So it starts with some rice. I have some brown rice here. We call for boiling bag brown rice just because it's convenient. You could also use pouched or the little buckets or tubs of pre-cooked rice. Just look for ones that are unseasoned so that you don't get a ton of sodium in your rice. Or if you have cooked rice on hand or you've stashed some in your freezer, you want to start with 2 cups of brown rice, cooked brown rice. Now I have some olive oil I'm going to put in the pan because brown rice, needs a little love. It needs a little flavor enhancement. So I've added some olive oil, and into that I'm adding some ground cumin and some minced garlic. And that's just going to boost the flavor of the rice. I always want to encourage you to use brown rice, to go for whole grain. That's why we're using brown rice here. Not that there is anything wrong with white rice. I'm half Korean. I love white rice. But for everyday meals, I like to go whole grain whenever I can. It's something I teach my kids. Rice and bread are brown, mostly. So if you don't want to use rice, you could also do quinoa here. That would be delicious. Again, start with 2 cups. Or if you want something lower calorie and low carb, you can go for cauliflower rice. They sell that now at Costco in the frozen section, so it's just so convenient, and again, something that my family likes. It's a great base for a lot of different meals. If you go for cauliflower rice, you will have a calorie savings. A half a cup of cauliflower rice has about 12 or 13 calories, and a half a cup of brown rice has 90 to 100 calories. But that's okay. We're going to enjoy it here. So I flavored my convenient brown rice with some cumin, some garlic, and now just a little bit of kosher salt. I have more salt that's going to go into some other components of the dish. So the great thing about a burrito bowl is that you get all these nice toppings. It's sort of like a riff on bibimbap, which is a Korean rice dish with different things on top. Or, a Buddha bowl. What you have to watch with those is that the calories can get out of control very quickly. So a lot of times I'll see people with this giant Buddha bowl and I'll think, ooh, that's probably about 1,200 calories. With this, we're just watching the calories, watching our portion size because everything adds up. Okay, now I'm going to heat up some black beans. This is a 15-ounce can of unsalted black beans. I partially drained them, but I didn't drain everything off, and I didn't rinse them because I want them to be a little bit juicy here. I'm just going to warm those up with a tablespoon of minced Chipotle chilies. I opened a can of chilies. This ended up being one pretty large chili, gave me 1 tablespoon. So you know the deal with Chipotle chilies. You open up the can, you need maybe 1 chili out of the can, then you've got all these Chipotle chilies left. So I store them for use later in 2 different ways. So one thing I do is I'll either chop them or put them in my food processor because I hardly ever, I don't know if I have ever needed them whole. I always need them chopped. So I'll go ahead and put them in a mini food processor or chop them by hand. And I'll put some in a jar, a little jar. I've seen it sold in a jar one time and only once, and every other time I find them there in cans, which makes storing leftovers a little hard. So I'll chop some and I'll put the leftovers in like a little mason jar. And then I can also freeze dollops of the chopped or pureed Chipotle chilies in the freezer. So I put little dollops on a sheet tray lined with parchment paper and freeze them when they're solid. I pop them off the parchment paper and put them in a Ziploc bag. You can also freeze them in ice cube trays. I don't have those on hand, so I just freeze dollops. And that way, none of it goes to waste. You have it on hand for later use. I'm going to add a little bit of salt here to the black beans. And the Chipotle chilies they're smoked jalapeno chilies. You find them in cans packed in adobo sauce. always on the Latin foods aisle of any grocery store. And they just add some heat to the beans, and they also add a nice smoky essence. Now, if you are sensitive to heat, don't use chipotles. You can add some smoked paprika here. It will add no heat, but still give you that nice smoky flavor. Okay, so those are nice and warmed up. And now I'm making a very quick pico de gallo as part of the burrito bowls. You gotta have some sort of salsa component, some sort of tomato component. So I have 1 cup of grape tomatoes. I was using grape tomatoes because they're good year-round. Now we are heading into summer with nice tomatoes, summer tomatoes, which you could definitely use a beefsteak tomato that you chop. You just need a cup. But for year-round salsas, go for grape tomatoes. They taste great year-round. To that, I'm adding 1/3 cup of finely chopped onion. I just used a white onion here. If you want a softer flavor, you can use scallions. They won't have as much bite to them. 1/4 cup of chopped cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, just leave it out. I happen to like cilantro, but I know it is a divisive ingredient. And then about a tablespoon of lime juice and some more salt. I'm going to add a jalapeno here in a minute, but I just want to show you my sort of quick and easy way to seed and chop. Did I say chipotle? I meant jalapeno, a fresh chili. Okay. So I have here some jalapenos. So what I do, if you love the heat, keep the seeds in the chili. Sometimes the heat ranges. Sometimes a jalapeno will be fairly mild, but sometimes it's pretty hot. So what I do, like I said, this is my quick and easy way to chop and seed a jalapeno. I just cut the sides off of the pepper like this so that the seeds and the membrane are left on the stem. That goes into the compost bin. I might have a little bit of trimming that I need to do, but if I have been good, I don't have much. So just scrape some of these seeds out. I have a method I use at home. I don't typically wear gloves, especially if I'm preparing dinner in a hurry. I don't wear gloves when I deal with chilies. I just know that I only touch it with my left hand. I wear contacts, so I know if I have dealt with chilies, I do not touch my contacts with my left fingers, the fingers on my left hand. That is my system. So this is just a very quick and easy way to prep that jalapeno. You want 1 jalapeno. This one's pretty big. It's going to give us some nice presence here in the pico. Just want to chop it up. Great.
Robin wants to know why use unsalted beans and then add the salt later.
That is such a good question. Thank you for asking that. So we call for unsalted beans because if you buy traditional beans, the sodium can be as high as like 350, 400 milligrams of sodium per serving. So that's, anywhere from like 1/3 of a cup to a 1/2 a cup of beans. But when you buy unsalted beans, you're starting with a blank slate and you have better control over the amount of sodium and the amount of salt that's actually going into your recipe. Those are a great question. A lot of times I find that salted beans are just a little too salty to begin with without even adding salt. Now, if sodium is not a concern for you, that's okay, no worries. You don't have to, you can buy traditional beans, especially if you have a brand you love, and that's fine. Okay, so that is my quick pico. It smells so good. That jalapeno just has that nice sort of, I don't know, it smells green. I don't know if that makes sense, but it smells green. Okay, the last component here is a very quick slaw. So I have 1 1/3 cups of red cabbage that I have thinly sliced. I did this by hand. I did not use a mandolin. I just very thinly sliced it, 1 1/3 cups, so that each serving will get about 1/3 a cup of the slaw. It's a very simple slaw. I'm adding a little more of that fresh lime juice, a little bit of salt, and then a little bit of olive oil, just to make it kind of shiny and well dressed. Just going to mix that together quickly. I said that was the last component. I lied. There's one more. Avocado. You have to have avocado with a burrito bowl, right? Okay, so we have rice, We have beans, we have slaw, we have pico. Already, like the colors over here are so nice. And now just an avocado. So this recipe makes 4 servings. I'm just going to plate up 2 servings. So I'll just use half of this avocado. He's got a little bit of a rough spot. Well, I think that's just the hull of the pit kind of hung out in there. Let me get a spoon. Try to scrape that out. Okay. And of course, if you don't like avocado, you can leave it out, but it definitely adds some nice richness here, some good healthy fats. Avocado is a real superstar when it comes to healthy fats.
And we have a quick question from YouTube, actually.
Oh, great. Hi.
If you wouldn't mind, my mic is dead, just repeating it back. So one of our viewers wants to know if you can use cumin instead of smoked paprika.
Ooh, that's a great question. So the question was, instead of smoked paprika, could you use cumin? Absolutely. So we have cumin in the rice already. You may just want to back off on that. Maybe use half of the amount. We used a teaspoon with the rice. I'm sorry, I usually just peel this by hand. I'm having a little difficulty, so just bear with me. So if you wanted to use cumin for all components, like in the beans, definitely you could use half a teaspoon of cumin maybe in the beans and half a teaspoon in the rice. That's a great question. Smoked paprika, though, is something, it's my favorite spice. I use it all the time. It's great in spice rubs for grilled pork or grilled chicken. I use it in scrambled eggs. I use it all the time. Great on sweet potato fries. Okay, I'm just going to call it here. I know I could scoop it out with a spoon, but I feel like I always sort of leave some behind. Oh my gosh, look, I found the cheese here. Okay, so I lied. I said this was the last component. It's not. And then I said the avocado was the last component. It is not. We also have cheese. So let me just slice up this avocado real quick. Okay, we have some slices that have a little browning, but that's okay. We'll pretend like that browning's not there. Okay, so we have queso fresco. So I wanted to show this. This is the brand, Olay brand, that we find in most of our grocery stores here, from Publix to Walmart. You'll find it, usually there's a separate section by the normal cheeses in the grocery store, so not the specialty cheese section. Usually these are set off a little bit from, say, the Kraft and the Sargento cheeses. Queso fresco is a wonderfully mild, crumbly cheese. If you can't find it, you could substitute feta cheese. So I brought it out here in the round, A, to show you the packaging, and B, to show you, again, when I'm in a hurry and I'm following a recipe that says, say, like this one, you need 3 ounces of this cheese. Okay, well, this wheel of cheese is 12 ounces. So what am I going to do? I'm going to quarter it, or because a quarter of that will be 3 ounces. That way I don't have to get out a scale or anything like that. And I know that I'm using the amount of cheese that will get me to the calories that are stated on the recipe. Okay? So now the components are ready to come together. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to plate up or bowl up 2 servings here. So we'll start with rice. Okay? And like I said, a lot of times you'll see bowls like this that are enormous with huge portions, and that's wonderful if you don't have to watch your calories. But when you do, just know that every component and every topping adds up. So it's about a half a cup of rice per serving, which is a traditional serving, a typical serving of rice is a half a cup. Okay. And then you can either, well, let me do it 2 different ways. You can do it where the rice is sort of the bed of the bowl, or you could do it where the rice is sort of off to the side in one component of the bowl. I'm going to add beans. Black beans are so good for you. Super high in antioxidants and very high in fiber. Fiber is great for all kinds of reasons. I think fiber is going to be more in the spotlight. It feels kind of like a dated topic, but it's research and science is coming out more and more about how important fiber is for everything from heart health to gut health. Okay, then my salsa here. beautiful, colorful, fresh, and very easy to make salsa. Nice and juicy. This wonderful cabbage slaw that adds great color and crunch. Okay, and then just some avocado. The last component is the cheese, and then as an optional component, you can serve with some lime wedges. I'm trying to cover up the little brown spots on the avocado. You know how it is. You never know with an avocado until you cut into it what you're getting. Okay, so if I need 3 ounces of cheese for the whole recipe, then I need 1.5 for half of the recipe, or 2 servings. So I'm just crumbling the cheese over. Again, this is a really nice, mild, faintly salty, but not as salty as feta cheese, the queso fresco. If you can't find it, you can definitely use feta. Just know it's going to be a little saltier and a little tangier. Okay, and then for the limes, I will serve these with lime wedges. Sometimes I like to squeeze a lime wedge over. When you're shopping for limes, try to find some with smoother skins, the ones that aren't, skins that aren't quite as bumpy. They tend to be juicier. You can roll your lime here. I like to cut these kinds of wedges. They just look pretty. And I find that I get more juice when I cut the limes this way. Let me just put one of each in here. And that is our whole grain veggie burrito bowl. A great dinner. You can substitute different types of beans if you like. If you don't have cabbage on hand, you could use some romaine lettuce just for that crunch. Again, you can use quinoa in place of rice. You can use cauliflower rice in place of rice. You can customize, but it's just a great option for a busy weeknight. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Please come back next week. I'll be sharing a fun idea for Father's Day. If you are watching on Facebook, please share and like this post. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe so that you'll get notifications when we go live. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week.